Hello, everybody, and welcome. We have a special version of Mystical Awakenings tonight. A very important topic, and I'm here with my soul daughter and dear friend. We're many things to one another, Miss Tiffany Miller.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Tiff. Welcome. Glad you're here. We spend a lot of time together, and we, of course, spend a lot of time talking. And one of the things that we talk about often is neurodivergence. Tiffany brought it to my attention about 2 years ago, something like that.
Roughly.
Yeah, I didn't even know that term existed or what it was. I'm so old school and old that I had no idea. But once she enlightened me to all of it, many things in my own life and the lives of my kids made sense. And, looking around, we both realized there's so many people out there that really need the information. And Tiffany works at
An assisted living facility.
Yes, assisted living. So she gets to, assist people who have dementia and Alzheimer's and
cognitive deficits.
There you go. So we know that many of these people, or we're learning that many of these people may be
neurodivergent.
Yeah. So you want to fill us in a little bit on it?
So the neurodivergent is basically any brain function, I guess we'll say, that is not typical. So your ADHD, autism, OCD, things like that. Any quirkiness, a lot of times it turns out.
Right. Yeah.
Can be neurodivergence. So when I brought this up to Deb, it was after I had done a virtual dementia training where for 5 minutes they put headphones on you so you can't hear right because it's got voice and sirens and like chitter chatter that's nothing you can discern. It doesn't make sense. They have gloves on you. They have something on the bottoms of your feet that mock neuropathy. You put glasses on to mock macular degeneration. And in this room where it's dark and there's a light strobe light, they talk to you with these headphones on and give you 5 tasks. But you can't hear them because of that chatter. And you're supposed to do those tasks to the best of your ability, which every single time has failed. This last time I stood in one single spot and folded some laundry, and that wasn't even the task. I was supposed to set a table. So it's to show us that people with those deficits and those hindrances, you're asking them, I need you to sit down in your chair and put your shoes on, but all they're hearing is shoes. And so when I got out of that, a lot of times the agency will sit with us and go, how do you feel that we can care for people with dementia? And I think we do a great job to the best of our ability, but with those deficits, if you're only hearing shoes, you can't get frustrated with them because they're frustrated with themselves. And then when I thought about it, I went, oh my goodness, if you add the sensory overload and the auditory processing issues of neurodivergence on top of Alzheimer's or dementia, where you're forgetful and you don't have your normal faculties about you, I cried. It broke my heart because I thought, how hard is it to go through their day when at 36 years old without dementia, if my sock seams are wrong, I have to change my socks. But I can tell you that. If they can't say, I can't wear these socks, they just get angry. And then you don't know why they're angry.
Right. Yeah. And imagine being in their head.
Yeah. I mean, so it just opened up this whole new Tiffany, as we like to call them.
Tiffany. I love that. And hi to Carly.
Hi, Carly.
Thank you for joining us. That's cool. Yeah, it's when you were talking to me about that, when you went through that, it was like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. And being neurodivergent myself, I have a lot of sensory issues. I'm definitely ADHD, OCD.
Squirrel.
There you go. Yeah. To be even in my body with my not, I mean, I'm old, but I don't have dementia yet. It broke my heart. And it made me realize this is something that, well, and we talked about that in great depth, how, we need to bring awareness to the fact that this does exist.
Yeah.
Many people, and we were talking before the show, I mean, I'm willing to bet that statistically, people who are neurodivergent honestly outnumber people who are neurotypical.
Yes.
Because, well, let me find the thing here and put this up. So you guys can see that. These are some of the things that it covers. I don't know if I think it's cutting some of it off. Dyscalculia. Now that is something I was told when I was young that I had number anxiety because math is a real issue for me. To be able to follow through with steps.
Mm-hmm.
I can add in my head, I can do basic math, things like that. But to remember to work with numbers, the anxiety is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that's what the dyscalculia is. I didn't even know that word existed either. Dyslexia. Many people have that and don't even talk about it. Don't admit that they even have it.
No, they hide it.
Right. Now the DCD, verbal skills, empathy, intuition, in our field, how many people have that?
Yeah.
Most, honestly. Autism. Autism is a very wide spectrum. And as we delve into it over the years, especially the last 20 years, I've done a lot of study in autism because I deal with it within my own family. And we didn't even know that existed before about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that. But I'm seeing that many, many, many people have that and don't know it. No, right. They don't know it. They've never been diagnosed. I feel I am autistic.
Yeah.
I have always known I was different. The not being able to concentrate, the hyper focusing, just all kinds of different things. So autism definitely is on there, but there's tons of spectrums of that. And we'll talk about more of what these are. Tourette syndrome. That's another one that is very hidden. Sometimes it might be something as little as somebody's pinky popping around here and there. It's involuntary. Sometimes it's words, a movement, a sniff, a blink, things like that. It's very common. Learning disabilities, that's another wide spectrum. Acquired neurodivergence. What do we think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, let's see if I can get this down from here. I'm used to having a producer do all this stuff for me. Makes it a whole lot easier. Natalie, hello, darling. How are you? Thank you for coming. And I know that when I threw the topic out there were going to be a lot of people say, it's nonsense. I'm not even going to tune in. But I hope some people at least listen to some of this.
Yeah. Because
it's so very important. Like I said, when Tiffany informed me on neurodivergence, it really altered my whole world.
And we've been learning about it pretty much together because I didn't bring it up to your attention not long after I had learned what it was.
Right. So yeah, we spend a lot of time. Hi, Terry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're listening. Yeah, we spend a lot of time looking into it and talking about it and talking about how can we, help people.
Yeah.
As well as ourselves. One of my favorite sayings.
Differences are not deficits.
Woohoo! Yes, we found that last night and we're both like, oh yes, differences are not deficits. So what is neurodivergence in a nutshell? It's differences.
Embrace your weird.
Yeah. So Tiff, I know you did a lot of reading on the differences.
Yes. And there was a lot of things that I was unaware, like on the medical condition side of it, like bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, so simple things like anxiety and depression. Not that depression is simple by any means, but and anxiety can be mind numbing. But even the small side of those things, anything that makes your brain work differently. And it's okay that it's okay that you work differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I celebrate that I'm neurodivergent. Being neurotypical would be boring.
Right. Yeah, I think it was last night that one of us said, wow, this kind of explains that neurodivergence can be really beautiful.
Absolutely.
Because we are the people. I mean, people like Nikola Tesla, Steve Jobs, Edgar Allan. Yeah. Edgar Allan Poe.
I believe Einstein,
Abraham Lincoln. They were all neurodivergent.
Yeah.
I believe Marilyn Monroe too. But there's list after list. We're looking it up. These are all people that think outside the box and that dig deeper because we have to.
Well, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry. No. But then like my instance, I think with my chosen career field and then deciding to go further, go back to school, be an FNP, that kind of thing. Yes. I think that has a lot to do with my hyper focus. Because the knowledge that someone sits in front of me and says, this is elevated blood pressure. Well, I want to know why. Why does it work like that? Why is that human body saying your heart's going to beat harder than this one? So I think that's hyper focus.
That is hyper focus.
And that insatiable, I need to know why, is the reason I decided to go back to school.
Yeah. So hallelujah to that.
Thank you, neurodivergent.
Right. So yes, I mean, there's a lot of beauty to it too, because these are the people, we are the people who don't settle for, I got kicked out of Sunday school for crying out loud at a little girl, like 6 years old. I got kicked out because I asked impossible questions and I wouldn't settle for poo-poo answers.
Yep.
Because that's how we are. We have lots of other stuff here on it. But do you have something you wanted to?
Well, I wrote down in my notes that neurodiversity is the idea that people experience and interact with the world around them in many different ways. There is no one right way of thinking, learning, or behaving. And that's where the differences are not deficits came in. And like I said, embrace your weird. You're supposed to be quirky. You were made that way.
Right. And without hyper-focusing, we couldn't get a lot done.
Nope.
Now with ADHD, I can tell you, I do hyper-focus, but it's like I have two ends of the scale. Either I can't focus and I've got 36 tabs open and I'm working on everything at once, or I'm so focused on one thing, nothing else exists.
Yeah.
I mean, literally my house could burn down and I would still be.
And one of the things too, kind of in that vein, is executive dysfunction. And I haven't looked up the exact definition of that yet, but from what I have, little bits that I have read, the executive dysfunction that I've went through, to me, is almost just as bad as anxiety and causes anxiety. Right. Because you can have to clean the kitchen, do the dishes, Like for my instance, clean the cat litters, vacuum the floor. Okay, you get all those tasks in front of you and you can't start a single one because it's so overwhelming that you just want to lay down and take a nap and forget that you have to do it.
Right. Yeah, the task avoidance, and thank you, bless you, for bringing that to my attention. Because
the PDA thing with Stephen.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so difficult. The school systems have a long ways to go. And one of the reasons that Tiff and I wanted to do a show, is to let people know that this exists, what's going on, how to support it, how to support people.
And yourself.
And yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely. But, some of these people, some of us literally are disabled and considered disabled because of what's going on. They can't be around noise. They are so overstimulated. They end up staying home and doing nothing because they can't deal with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Where if they had people that would work with them and say, okay, we understand that you cannot handle all the excess noise, so we're going to put noise canceling headphones on you to help you work.
Yep.
Things like that. If people could get support instead of people looking at them like they're broken, it could make a humongous difference.
Yeah, support, don't shame.
Yeah, exactly. One of my kids, definitely the task avoidance, the PDA is huge with him. And he was attending school in St. Helens, Michigan. And, when he was younger, he had one of the people working there who figured out he can do this work. He just can't start it. So if I take him into my office and we start an assignment, he'll ace it. Well, he brought up, with this woman's help, he brought all of his grades up, and within 2 years, he was a straight A student. He still had difficulties. I'm not saying he didn't, but with help, he did great. Because he did so well, the school decided, he no longer needs our services. He doesn't qualify for an IEP any longer because his grades are too good. He can do this. So they kicked him off everything and couldn't do his work. The woman that had been working with him left the school. Of course, I can't say any names. And any of the new ones simply did not get it. They refused to identify that he did need an IEP, he did need special help, and all it would take is somebody working with him to start an assignment. Once he got started, take 2 minutes and sit down with him and say, okay, let's, and within a year, he was failing every single class. And that continued every year. And every single day of all of those years, he's now 17, was pure hell for him. And for me, because he would come home from school was super stressful. I would be getting phone calls saying he won't do his work. He's smart enough, he knows this, but he refuses to do this work. He would come home and all he would do is be terribly anxious about having to go to school the next day. To the point, his heart was having severe heart issues. Was put on a monitor for a month, put on medications. We went through the gamut until I literally had to take him out of school. And he's now homeschooling and doing better. In fact, his doctor said that was the best thing I could have ever done for him.
Yeah. And bits and pieces of that, it's almost like hearing you talk about the stories that my mom went through,
Ah.
because they were telling her, we don't understand why she's failing. She's not bringing her homework in. She won't turn it in.
Right.
My organizational skills still as an adult are awful. They're getting better, but it's something I have to work at continually.
Mm-hmm.
I can literally put something on the counter and go, that's not where that goes. Put it where it goes.
Right. Right.
But that was the struggle for me in school, because
Mhm.
I could do the schooling, I could do the paper, the worksheets and things, and I could ace my tests. But everything in between that
Yeah.
counted for the passing grade, nothing.
Yep. And that's so common. So common.
So you find, that was another thing I wrote down in my notes, is that with high intelligence and these neurodivergent things, school is boring.
Mm-hmm.
In the most simple sense, because you may really like science, but the stuff that they're teaching you in that chapter, in that part of the class, you're like, I'd rather learn about frogs. So until you get to that, you're not paying attention,
Right.
because you're like, I know all this stuff already.
Right.
I read about this stuff at
Mhm.
home. I don't want to learn about it at school too.
Yeah. And I can tell you, my oldest son, when he was in school, I would ask, why are you not doing your work? Why is this an issue? His IQ was like 183. He was terribly intelligent. And that made the school so angry, because he too would not do his work.
Mm-hmm.
He was bored. He'd tell me, Mom, I'm so bored. It's stupid. I don't want to learn that stuff. I can't focus.
Then your neurodivergence takes over, and you're like zoning out in class, not
Uh-huh.
paying any attention.
Oh yeah, counting the ceiling tiles and how many holes per
I did
tile.
that.
See, we know.
Yep.
We know.
But then
because
when
we are
sometimes in the, I don't want to say lackluster, because schools do have a big job helping kids.
right.
They do, but in their inability to give one-on-one like it should be done, and their inability sometimes to notice or correctly notice neurodivergence or ADHD or what have you. And it falls back, like I said, in class, when you're not excited about something or you're not intrigued by it, then they consider that not applying yourself.
Right.
Well, I'm trying, but it's just not fun. So it's not engaging. And for anybody that's neurodivergent, if your thing is not engaging, you lose focus like that.
Right. Right. And that's why, things like these spinner rings,
These ones?
are very common for people with us, because, you can't just sit and have a conversation or have mundane stuff going on around you
Mm-hmm.
without having to
Do something. Yep.
Most of us have a hard time sitting still.
Or we're always tapping our toes or moving our leg.
Yeah.
Or, switching your ring from this finger to this finger and back again while you're talking.
Playing with your spinner. I always keep a crystal right here that I play with while I'm on the air. People have told me, you seem to always be moving around when you're on the show. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, I just have to shift.
I said tapping my toe because I've been tapping my toe the whole time.
Mm-hmm. So stimming is a real thing. And if we don't allow people, and I don't care if it's someone in elementary school or someone in a nursing facility or long-term or whatever, if they need to stim, they need to stim.
Yep.
And if you stop that, then the anxiety gets terrible, the moods get terrible, depression can set in. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It truly is.
And it's like an anxiety release. When I get super nervous, I'll rub my fingers together.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're anxious, you can't just let that bottle up or you're gonna scream.
Right. So we'd love some comments from some of you guys, or questions or anything. Let's put, I wanted to share this one first.
Yeah.
And I didn't. But we both found this very interesting because,
Top of the
we fell
iceberg.
into that.
Yeah. Yep. People think neurodivergent is just a learning disability, just ADHD, but there is so much more.
Right. So, and I want people to understand, if this is how you see neurodivergent or anything like
Yes.
it, if that's how you see it, you're normal.
Yep.
Because that's what most people think.
Even those of us that consider ourselves neurodivergent for a while thought that way, until I started reading and learning. And it was mainly because I started my reading journey with you.
Right.
Because I had quirks and things in my life that didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was making me angry that I couldn't support myself through it.
Yeah.
I was more off, actually, after I got married, I was more mad at myself because I wasn't doing as much housework as my wife. And it pissed me off. Because I should be helping. That's part of what you do as a spouse.
Right.
As a female spouse at that. Like, where's my maternal, vacuum the floor thing? Why don't I have that? And it was because of my neurodivergence. I was putting too many things in front of me at once. I was viewing that I had to clean the house as a whole, not breaking it down and going, I have to wash off the kitchen counters.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to wash the dishes. I was going, oh my God, the whole house is dirty and she's going to be home at 1:00. So yeah. I was overwhelming myself, but didn't know why. Mm-hmm. So I had to read to learn this is why.
Yeah.
Because I'm quirky.
Exactly. One of the things I learned, I don't think we've talked about this at all, is that trauma can also trigger neurodivergence in a person, because it literally, if you go through trauma, and that could be anything from a car accident to losing a loved one, just anything that really
hits hard.
It alters your thinking,
mm-hmm.
and therefore causes differences. So you have your neurotypical people and you have your neurodivergent people, and neurotypical are what they call the normal people, but they can even deal with periods of neurodivergence or go full-blown into it.
Yep.
And it's not a bad thing. It truly is differences in that.
That's what I said yesterday. I think we were in the car somewhere together. And I said, I'm proud to be neurodivergent. I'm proud to have these quirks and these differences and these nuances. I'm glad I'm in the cool club.
Yeah. It really, it's become so common because it covers a whole wide spectrum, but it helps people to understand who they are. Every single brain is different.
Yes.
And we become okay with that.
No two brains are the same, even identical twins.
Right.
It's like your own individual fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
So just because we are both ADHD does not mean that your ADHD is the same as my ADHD.
Exactly. We do have a lot of the same quirks.
We do.
But we have differences as well. And that's really, with differences also comes a lot of sensory issues and quirks.
Yep.
Anxieties. Anxiety is a big one. I think that's overall, anybody with this has anxiety to deal with, because there's a lot of things that go on. Trying to get through life, you try to mask.
Yep.
And I knew forever that I was ADHD and I was OCD.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a bad thing, and people would not like me if they knew. So I kept it, tried to be normal.
Yeah.
But once I embraced that, and that was really kind of years ago, I liked myself a lot. Life became easier.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Anxiety was lost.
If any of you that are listening, or anybody that thinks that they may be neurodivergent for one or any of these reasons, and you've been masking or trying to be normal, stop that. Because I think in the long run, it's detrimental to your health, trying to constantly act the opposite of who you are.
Right.
You know, if you're anxious, be anxious. Tell someone, man, my chest is kind of tight today. I'm a little anxious. Everybody has anxiety at this in some point for one reason or another.
Right. Right.
You know, it's just sometimes worse for others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's certainly nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
Not
You know,
at all.
like we've said, differences are not deficits. Neurodivergency and quirkiness and being the cool club kid. Don't ever be ashamed to be who you are.
Right. Right. Did we
I don't think you put up the masking one.
is that this one?
Yes.
Okay. What is masking? Yes. Because this is something we talk about, and we all deal with. I was gonna say but
Yeah.
I guess we all deal with this. Masking is huge for anyone with autism or any of these variants, differences.
Yeah.
So what is masking?
Sometimes it's hiding your feelings and moods, like letting people know that you have anxiety or that you are having a rough day and you're feeling a little depressed. Be vocal, advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Imitating facial expressions. And that, like I said, I think that's more in the vein of autism versus like ADHD or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes with ADHD, we had the discussion the other day that I have a hard time keeping eye contact.
Right.
You either get conversation or you get eye contact. There's no in between. You get one or the other.
Yeah.
So when I'm staring off a little bit, I've learned that people thought I wasn't listening, but I was. So now I make eye contact with people by looking at the corner of their glasses or the corner of their eyebrow so that I'm making face-to-face contact with them.
Right.
But not losing myself in the
So
eye
in
contact.
a way, that's masking because you're doing that because
I'm supposed to. It's a social cue.
Right. Right.
So yes, that is.
So that is a form of masking.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us do have trouble with eye contact, and it's not to be taken personally.
No.
I've had people say, "Why won't you look at me when you're talking to me?" Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, if you want me to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Marie.
Yeah, hi, Marie and Taylor.
Oh,
Have to tune out for dinner.
that's my shishi.
Oh, hey. Thank you both for this important message.
Grateful these conversations are happening.
Well, we're grateful you were here. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so back to ADD.
Yep.
Acting normal. That's a tough one because, I think every human tries to act normal.
Yeah.
But really, what the hell is normal?
Boring.
I mean, come on.
Well, and that could even be a neurotypical mask. If you want to get right down to brass tacks, acting normal, because what are our societal social cues that we're supposed to do this when we're at the grocery store?
Right.
We're supposed so. Both
Right.
sides kind of do that, but it's harder for neurodivergent people because you're already a little off skewed from the main.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trying to focus on conversations, but zoning out, that's a big one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, again, either we are hyper-focused or we're fighting to focus.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if a conversation is not holding your attention, and I don't want to say some people are boring, but sometimes it's a conversation that...
No, and it's not even boring or not boring all of the time, because I've had conversations with my wife where we're talking, we're engaged in a good conversation, but my elevator music in my head has got me thinking 3 other things because she mentioned one word that breached another question in my head, and now I'm off over here, but still listening to her. She just doesn't know it. So yeah, zoning out.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, that is what is masking. And we're willing to talk about any of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody wants to discuss it. people have questions. I want to put some of these up here. Taylor's first. I don't know if Taylor already had to leave, but I'm so glad you came.
Yes, thank you.
I've heard about you. And Marie.
I was just thinking how I can't sit still. Happen to catch us during a quick break and listening while I plug on.
Oh, nice. Well, you know, Marie, you may be neurodivergent.
Mm-hmm.
It is common, I think, across the board, whether it's autism or OCD or anything in between. Sitting still is an issue. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like I said, I have to have things to play with during the show because sitting
still,
even for an hour, is difficult for me. So, welcome, Marie. We're glad you're here. So let's see what Christy has to say. I mimicked my way through most of my life. I get that. I was diagnosed with
ADHD
this past year. So what is the
I think it's a marrying of autism and ADHD.
Okay.
I just learned about this very recently.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Christy, do you know a lot about that? Because I'm really curious. I know when my 17-year-old was 3 and I was having him tested, they said, well, either it's ADHD or it's autism. And I said, I think it's both. And they're like, no, you can't have both. So I'm real curious. Yeah, I'm real curious.
Yeah.
So if you have info on that, we would love it. And honestly, I would love to start a group.
Autistic and ADHD. Awesome.
Thank you, Christy. I love you for that and for speaking about it.
Yes.
But if anybody is interested in a group, we could do like a Zoom group once a month or
Absolutely.
or a Facebook group, because, you know, I find for myself, even having Tiffany to talk to, because I know she gets it.
Yep.
She doesn't judge, things like that. It helps me a lot. We all need to figure ourselves out and be happy with ourselves. And with neurodivergence, it's hard to be happy with ourselves because we're always, you know, focused on masking or fitting in, being normal.
Yep.
Things like that. And differences are not deficits.
I'm gonna make a t-shirt.
I think we need to start a club and have that on our shirts.
Yep.
They are not deficits.
Well, and it's nice to have. Oh, I lost my headphone. It's nice to have that support group, like you said, because it's someone to celebrate the good things with, and someone to turn to and go, man, I had a horrible day at Walmart yesterday.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Or I was driving and my sensory overload was too bad. I had to close my window because I couldn't listen to the cars drive by me. So yeah, I would definitely be interested in getting a group together so we have those people to turn to, on top of hopefully your family members and things. But then if by chance you don't have that support system, you'll have us.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, let's do it. And I'll put information on Facebook, Christy. So, you know, maybe we'll do a little group chat.
Yep.
And I'll announce that we're doing a group chat. Anybody that wants to be involved can do that.
Yes.
I love our differences, but making friends outside of people who don't get it leads to serious depression.
It does.
Girlfriend, I get you 1000%. Quirks
are fun. Like I said, I get to be in the cool kid clubs.
Quirks are fun. I mean, once you accept them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Once you go,
yeah,
embrace your weird. It's okay to be strange.
Yeah. I mean, I pounded myself. I'm older though, and I grew up in an era where none of this existed.
Yeah.
Even autism. I mean, it existed, but it didn't have a name.
Right.
So as a kid and through my teenage years, I'm so sensitive to I have a lot of sensory issues. Wearing blue jeans is like putting me in a bucket of ice. I have a really hard time with it. But because it was the cool thing to do, of course I wore them every day.
Right.
And as I got older, now I wear, and a lot of you that have seen me at events know, I just wear like the stretchy pants. A lot of times they're hippie style and they're wild colors and all of that. And, people now say, oh, that's Deb style. That's cool. But I do that because I can't stand blue jeans.
I never thought about it. I bet you that's why I live in scrub pants and shorts. Because they're not
That
clean.
is why. That is why. And I knew that. And I wear flip-flops most of the time. Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess why I wear flip-flops or go barefoot? I love you, Christy. Yes, fly our freak flags with pride. Thank you. That's so sweet. So is anybody going to answer that? So I wear flip-flops or go barefoot because I cannot stand that was a great convention. It really was. It was so nice to meet you and everybody there. I loved it. Okay. ADD.
Squirrel.
I was gone. Barefoot. I can't stand, and Tiff gets this because we talk about it a lot. If I have socks on and a pair of shoes and my sock turns a little bit, I'm out of my mind until I can
get them off, fix them.
Yeah. Or if my shoes get a little bit too tight, or there's a rock. Oh, God forbid if there's a rock. And when I say rock, I mean tiny.
Itty bitty.
Any little thing. Just my anxiety goes.
And I'm that way with partially wet clothing. It's the weirdest thing. But if I'm doing dishes and the front of my t-shirt gets wet, I gotta change my t-shirt. Cannot finish the dishes. Which I'm getting better because what's the point of having two wet t-shirts? Or like in the summertime or the springtime, it'll rain. And it happened a lot when I was in high school because I never wore shoes the right way. Right. My pants always hung 4 inches longer than what they should have been because I'm only 5'4". But if the bottoms of my pants would get wet, I would run home, take my shoes off to end my school day, and the wet part of my pants would touch my ankles or my skin. And I would have to take them off.
Yeah.
So partially wet clothing is my nemesis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I so get that. Yeah. Sensory issues can, and that's something that people can't see. People don't know that you're standing there trying to have a normal conversation, but you have a piece of sand in your shoe, or part of your shirt got wet or something, and your anxiety is taking off. And how do you stop them and say, hey, I'm just
my newest
meltdown here.
Yeah, my newest one, just in the last, I'm gonna say 6 months to a year. The most that I've become aware of, and I'm still trying to this day to cultivate, not cure, is my sensory overload to sound. So when I'm at Walmart and the Walmart music is going, and that 4-year-old is crying because they want the toy, and the cart that the lady got behind you, the wheel is squeaking, and somebody's talking over the intercom for their automobile to be ready.
Okay. Need a Valium.
It makes my chest tight. I can't breathe very well. And I get I would say anxiety, but it's more like a panic.
Right.
Where I have to
yeah.
Or I'm going to have a meltdown in the aisle.
Right. Well, it's like a panic attack. And it probably, for me anyways, I can't say for anyone else, but I get the whole, my stomach tightens. I feel like I'm going to vomit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm having a heart attack. I get like a sweat. My head hurts.
And in Walmart, you can't get away.
I know.
So I keep saying Walmart. Clearly, I have an affinity to having sensory issues in Walmart. But did you know they brought back their sensory, like their easy sensory time between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m.?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, they did.
So, Christy, that's really interesting because Tiffany's been talking about this. Loops earplugs
I
are a
can't.
lifesaver.
I can't wait to get them. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm glad that works for you. I have the same issue, but I have hearing aids. And I was telling Tiffany last night, sadly, part of my sensory issues are my ears.
Mm-hmm.
So my hearing aids even make me a little not so sometimes.
Yep.
And sometimes, because we'll be sitting and talking and I have to kind of pull it out. And you've seen it hundreds of times. So I hope it works well for her. She's dying to try them. How long have you had them, Christy?
And which ones do you have? Because there's multiple kinds. I want to buy the loop switch.
Yeah. And I did want to talk a little bit. I mean, we have some notes here. There's things we haven't even hit on.
Oh,
yet.
yeah. We might have to do more than one of these.
But one of the things I wanted to bring up is, and it's actually on some of the list, an empath is also considered neurodivergent because their brains work differently. They're picking up feelings.
Squirrel. She's had it for 2 years.
Oh, wow. So she knows they're already working good for her. That's good news for you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yay. And Christy, I think you are also an empath. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're also an empath. But that's also on our spectrum. So feeling the feelings of others and being neurodivergent can be horrible. And some people have heard me tell the story about Walmart with the pickles.
Mm-hmm. I love the pickle story.
Yes, you're definitely an empath. So you're going to get this. I'm going through Walmart and I'm just doing fine and dandy. And all of a sudden I'm just crazy. And I grab a jar of pickles, one of the big ones. And I smashed it. I just threw it to the floor and I think, what the hell is wrong with me? There was a mom 2 aisles over. She may have been the next aisle. I'm not sure. Anyway, she was very angry at her child, just this little thing that had her so worked up. I did end up going and dealing with it. But when you feel that intense feeling from somebody else, I think being an empath and neurodivergent, and now I'm seeing that it goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
See, I thought poor me, I was hit with both. Well, everybody would be.
I'm learning that there's a lot of, I have this. Oh, wait. It goes with, yeah.
Yeah. So, it can be difficult. So I always try to keep in front of my mind when I feel something like that or feel any sudden intense feelings, where is that coming from?
Is this mine?
I have a reason to feel angry. No, I don't. Do I have a reason to want to snap an arm but throw a pickle jar?
Yeah.
No, I don't. So I think it's important, even though we don't want to mask, we do have to think about when we get hit with those intense empathic feelings.
I literally say to myself, is this mine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always do that. Do I have a reason to feel that way?
Yep.
No, it's not mine. That belongs to someone else.
Yep.
Maybe I can help, but it's not mine. So I don't need to break anything. But I didn't realize that empaths were also on the spectrum.
Yep.
So they are. What other things? I know we're getting a little low on here.
Just that, we went over the sensory perception stuff. My biggest thing, and we just actually touched on it, was the small, small little bits and pieces of different stuff make up the whole. So some conditions that a neurodivergent person might have is problems with communication styles, behaviors, like our ability to like speaking too loudly to somebody. So my son has a very big energy. He is the sweetest 17, almost 18-year-old boy that I think I have ever met and had the pleasure of knowing.
Yes.
And he also is neurodivergent. And he's got a voice about as big as the room that I'm sitting in right now. And I do not. I also have my sensory perception issues. So when he stands too close and talks too loud, it literally hurts my chest.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very aware of each other. He'll go, Mama, am I talking too loud? And I'll go up just a little bit. Because someone who's loud like that and someone who has sensory, you put them two in the same room.
Right.
And I'm like, why are you screaming at me? You're right here.
Right. Yeah. And isn't it interesting, Christy? She says she also has a special needs child.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a double whammy sometimes. I really have to decipher energies.
Yes.
And it's interesting reading that from you because I know Tiffany has that. I have that. Many of us, it runs in the family.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is he a Sagittarius? No, he's not actually.
So it is a double whammy for sure. Not only do we have to, try to keep ourselves in check, but we have to, help them as well.
Yep.
And, it's so important that where did that one go? That we support
Mm-hmm.
one another and ourselves. I just want to put
embrace and celebrate differences because differences are not deficits.
Right. Differences are not deficits. That's our t-shirts.
Yep.
That is our t-shirts. So that's the number one thing on there. But we also wanted, it focuses on inclusions, accommodations, and needed support over cures. Support over cures.
Yes.
None of this is curable.
No.
Anxiety, we can calm with medication. Some ADHD, you can calm with medication. Sometimes, and we are firm believers, Tiff and I both, in complementary
medicine.
Yeah, it's, there's alternative healing that they call alternative healing. I don't call it that. And then you have modern medicine. And really, it takes both.
Yes.
I can tell you, I do a lot of Reiki on myself.
Yes.
And others, but I heal myself all the time.
Well, and we had talked too, not that medication is bad, because like you said, it's complementary.
Right.
But we had a conversation about the school kids when they were medicated and you worked in the...
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes if you're in the beginnings of using medication to help with your ADD and your ADHD and things like that, even I, when I was younger, was put on medication, Ritalin, Strattera, things like that. And it didn't work for me. It wasn't, I don't want to say good enough. It just wasn't right for me.
Right.
And that was, it zombifies a lot of people because you're dampening down those synapses.
You just melted my heart, Christy. She says, I'm so glad I found people who get it. I've looked for you guys forever.
Well, welcome to the Cool Kids Club.
Yeah. Yeah. We all need to talk about this. We really do. And that's why we decided to go public with the show, because we have so many conversations and so often say, people need to know this. People need to know this.
Yeah.
It's not an easy club, but it's a big club.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Yep. Christy says, I'm definitely into holistic healing. But if medicine is something that will help when meditation doesn't, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how we feel.
Yep.
I've never then when I don't, for one thing, I'm super sensitive to medication, so I have to be really careful what I take. But if you can meditate, if you can calm yourself, if you can do Reiki, if you can, get in a tub, whatever it takes, then do it. If you need some medication, by all means, don't feel bad.
No, reach out if talk to your primary care physician and things like that. I've learned to deal with a lot of the stuff, the sensory perception. I think that's something I can deal with. But for instance, I take a depression medication every day because on top of dealing with all of the other stuff, I don't have the capability to deal with the depression it brings on. So I kind of have to have that depression medicated in order to meditate everything else.
Right.
So I medicate in order to meditate.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense, Christy.
It does. And it also explains, I downloaded this to stick up on the show, and I told Deb, I'm not sure why I needed to do this.
Now we know that.
But here it is. When we are fully awakened, there is no longer the need for competition or judgment. We embrace the inner power to become one with the world and to see clearly with the inner eye. And I wrote that, but I think it's very appropriate for this kind of a talk, because judgment is something that we don't need. We truly don't.
Right.
Support is something we do need. And, anyone that knows me knows that I strive to bring awakening, bring enlightenment, bring information to the forefront for that reason. We're all in this together.
Yes.
And, that kind of brings one of the issues that we were talking about that led us to do this, is dealing with the elderly.
Yes. Yep. It's so mind-opening, eye-opening when I came upon that, what if they're also neurodivergent? Because it helps people being neurodivergent, I should have started with, helps me help them.
Right.
Because I know that I can't wear my socks if it seems wrong. So she doesn't want to wear that pink shirt because it doesn't feel right against her skin.
Right.
So where someone else would go, no, we're not changing your shirt again, I will go, let's try the blue one.
Yep.
It helps me care for them.
Right.
It helps me because I understand, because I'm there at 36. And that was the thing that I said yesterday that kind of, I wouldn't say upset, but it was also an eye-opening experience, because these people that I take care of are in their 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. When they were younger, they didn't have the luxury of ADD, ADHD.
Right.
You were either committed or ignored, or, probably a few of them just had to get their butts beat a few times because that's how their parents thought needed to happen. So they didn't have the resources then or now,
right,
that they're at this age and needing help with their daily living.
Yeah, and they've never been diagnosed.
No.
Most of them, I'm sure.
And then also, now that they are this age, I've not looked into yet how those medications would affect the geriatric community.
Right.
I don't know if they can take those kinds of medicines. So
but
it's
they're
just
automatically given to anybody across the board with these issues, and they don't take into consideration neurodivergence.
They're not looking at the possible root cause.
And one thing we learned is that our spectrum, the whole neurodivergent spectrum, statistically, the statistics are way higher that for us to have dementia and Alzheimer's.
The chance, yeah.
So not that other people don't get it, they do. And it's not saying that everybody who's neurodivergent gets it. They don't. But statistics are higher for us. So how many people in these homes or assisted living facilities who have dementia or Alzheimer's are
Yeah.
really being overlooked and mistreated because nobody really understands what they are going through. That they're really on sensory overload.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is move them out of the dining room to feed them.
Yep.
Things like that. So,
Or let her change into the blue shirt. Or
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I would have thought that it would be a little more inclusive because with dementia, some of the things like showering is physically painful for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sensory overload.
Yeah.
So I've never understood why we're not looking into it a little deeper to start with sensory overload before dementia.
Right.
That might be something I bring up to a couple of agencies I have in touch with.
Right. Well, I'm thinking, let's all be advocates for opening those doors.
Absolutely.
We're all going to get older. I'm going to beat all of you there. I might be in a home next year.
I'll get it.
Okay. Don't put anything on my feet. And no blue jeans or tight shirts.
Nothing around the neck.
Nothing around my neck, please. I cannot wear anything on my neck. Does anybody else have trouble with that?
So moo-moos and slippers. Gotcha.
Yeah. No bra.
Nope.
No underclothing at all. Just something, yeah, a moo-moo. And loose slippers.
Yes.
Or flip-flops. Yeah. I can do flip-flops. As long as I can do what I did right here.
Yeah.
I have to be able to kick them off.
Yep.
Because I really kind of need to just feel the earth under my feet. So we're at 8:03. Do we have any last things we want to bring up before we
I think we
close this?
pretty much hit on everything for today.
Loose and relaxed. You got it, Christy.
Yep.
Loose and relaxed. Okay. So I think Christy might be our only listener at this point, but we will get some, late listeners. So you all know we will work on starting a group
Yes.
where we can just get together and talk about this stuff. And,
Oh, there's Marie.
oh, thanks, Marie. See, she couldn't sit still, so she's been cleaning and dusting and putting her house back together because they did a whole remodel.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in being in this group, let us know. And in the meantime, spread the word. Yep. See, I get ya. Look up, famous people who either have autism, had autism, or neurodivergent. You're going to be blown away.
Yep.
Most of the people that have done great things on this planet were in
Neurodivergent. Yep.
Yep. Christy, I just love you to pieces. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And you're welcome. We love you all. Everybody have a fantastic night. Tiff and I will work on doing another show. We might do a monthly segment on this. So we'll see how it goes. Love you all. Good night.